Hey, welcome everybody to our next episode of GV Talks Books. We are starting a new series today, and it is all about the Little House in the Big Woods. And we're reading this book with Mrs. Norsethaporn and our third grade classes with Miss Shmidt and Miss Shafer. So there are tons of characters in this book, and we're going to be talking about those characters during our episodes. But before we dive into when the book takes place and where it takes place, let's introduce our guests. So go ahead and introduce yourself, Jacob.
My name is Jacob, and I'm in third grade.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Jacob. And our next guest, go ahead and introduce yourself.
I am Kinsley, and I am in third grade.
Hi, Kinsley. Thank you for joining us. And then we have a teacher with us as well. So go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. I am Mrs. Norsethaporn, and I'm the librarian that has the privilege of reading this story to these third graders.
And we have an extra guest that just joined us. So go ahead and unmute yourself. And you can introduce yourself.
My name is Avery, and I am in third grade.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us, Avery. So Avery, you can see that we have some questions we're going to go over today. And when they're done answering, I'm going to ask you your thoughts too. Okay? So Mrs. Norsethaporn, can you tell us a little bit about when and where our book takes place?
Sure. This is Little House in the Big Woods, and it is set in colonial times. The third graders were doing a colonial unit. They were talking about that time period, and of course, this book popped right into my mind. So we decided to start reading it and doing different activities with it. It's this particular story is the location is in Wisconsin, in the big woods of Wisconsin.
Awesome. So we have a family in the colonial times in woods in Wisconsin. So we are a few chapters in, but today we're going to talk about chapter 1. So in this chapter, we read about butchering day, which is very interesting to hear about, and all the different foods that the family ate and how they had to store their food, because in the colonial times, obviously, they didn't have the same things that we have now. So Jacob, can you tell us a little bit about what kind of food they ate in this colonial time?
Sure. It was mostly meat and a little bit of plants that they grow in a garden. And the dad would go hunting and usually bring back game to eat. So
Awesome. Yeah, so you kind of hit the nail on the head right there. So we had to do a lot of hunting and planting to get our food. Were they able to go to the grocery store?
no.
No. No Pringles chips. No Oreos.
Stop talking.
So it took a little bit more work. So how would they store their food?
They would usually, well, in the story that we're reading, in the winter they hollowed out a big log, and hang the meat on nails in the log.
Why would they have to do that?
To freeze it and keep it cool.
There was something else, Jacob. Do you remember? In the bottom of the log, they built something, and it did something special to the meat.
They made like They
Remember
put
the
the
small?
fireplace on the bottom,
Yeah.
so
Yep. There you
the
go.
smoke would get trapped in it,
Yep.
so it'd smoke the meat.
Good.
You got it. Nice. They had to smoke the meat because did they have a refrigerator that they could put in it to keep it good?
Nope.
No, so they had to smoke it. When they smoked it, do you remember what that made the meat into?
It made it easier to store during
Yeah.
the summer and made it taste better because it had a smoky flavor.
That's right. Yeah. And it kind of made it into jerky. So like right now you can go out and buy jerky today, and that's what they were doing in the tree. They were lighting that fire and smoking it and making it into jerky. Awesome job, Jacob. Thank you so much for sharing about their food. So I touched on it a little bit, but Jake, can you kind of talk more about how is that different from today?
Like you could go right to the grocery store and buy whatever you wanted, and but they didn't have their neighbors were miles away, so it's a little hard to have a friend back then.
Yeah, it's a lot harder, isn't it? There's not someone right next door you can
Yeah,
go
there's not
borrow a
someone
cup
right
of sugar
next door.
from.
Yeah.
So, what would you prefer to live? How would you prefer to live? Would you like to live just how we do now, where you can run to the store, run to Crosby's and grab a treat and grab a snack? Or would you rather do it like our Ingalls family, where they had to hunt and plant and smoke and do all the work?
I would actually like to live in the colonial times. I really like hunting and gardening, so I would want to live during the colonial times.
Jacob, that's awesome. And you know what? We still need hunters and planters now
Yeah.
and farmers. So
Yeah,
I'm glad that you like it.
that's how grocery stores get stuff to sell. They
That's right.
ask people to, and like farmers, so like they can harvest meat and do all that.
Love it. Kinsley, what do you think? How would you like to live? Would you like to live in the colonial times, or would you like to live how we do now, where you can just run to the grocery store?
How we live right now. I think that would be better because it was cool back in the winter when they were hunting.
It's a little easier, huh? Avery, you can unmute yourself. I would love to hear what you think. How would you like to live? Do you want to be back in the colonial times, or do you want to live like we have now and have
Right
grocery
here.
stores?
Right now,
Why?
because it's just a lot easier.
Yeah,
And
it is
you don't have to
easier,
do
but
all the
I like
work.
doing work.
Well, we need hard workers, so I appreciate you, Jacob. But I have to agree with the ladies. I really like to run to the grocery store and get my ice cream or get my snack. But I appreciate you, Jacob, because I think someday you're going to be the one behind the scenes getting it for me.
Probably.
Mrs. Nursethaporn, how about you?
I think, at first glance, it sounds like a lot of fun to live in the colonial times, and you think, oh, I could do this. This would be great. But day in and day out, I remember when I was reading it to the kids, they kind of looked at me like, why so many words just to tell us how to do one thing? Because the book is trying to make the point, the story is trying to make the point that it's really hard. It's really hard to get
Yeah.
something very simple. So
Yeah.
I'm probably going to say today. I would prefer today, but it'd be kind of cool for a little while to live like colonial.
Maybe
Yeah,
for like a
that
weekend
would be
camping
cool.
trip.
Yeah, like the little colonial vacation. There you go.
Yeah,
There you go.
There's
Colonication, I like
actually
it.
a place called Colonial Town.
There is. Yeah, so there's a place you could kind of go and mimic.
Yeah, it's
What was it
basically
called,
like
Jacob?
Colonial Town. I think that's it,
Oh.
or something like that.
Nice. So our next question, or kind of the next thing we're going to talk about from chapter 1, is that they shared some ways that Laura's family entertained themselves. A little different than what we have. So what ways did our Ingalls family have fun? Kinsley, can you share with us a little bit in a big voice?
What was the question?
What ways did the Ingalls family have fun?
By spending time together and having fun.
They spent a lot of time together, right? Avery, if you would like to unmute yourself, can you think of any other ways that the Ingalls family had fun?
Playing with Jack.
Yeah, who is Jack?
Jack
The
is
dog.
the dog, right? I think yes, the dog.
Yeah, so they played with their dog and they played with each other. Jacob, can you think of other ways that they had fun?
Well, usually in a family, there'd be a lot of kids, like a lot of siblings, and they made dolls out of little handkerchiefs and corn stalks. So,
Nice job. And again, they're having to make their own toys, right? You can't just go to a toy store.
mhm.
So
And there's no
Kinsley,
video games.
right? Yeah, they didn't have video games.
No.
They probably would have liked it though.
Unless if you made one up, like just no screen and no electronic.
Mhm.
Yeah, make your own games. Kinsley, can you share with us, is there anything that they played with that we still have that we could play with too?
Yeah.
Like what?
Like one of the siblings had a doll and the other one had a corn doll.
Yeah, we still have dolls, don't we? Jacob.
I have.
And corn.
They used to have like kites, and we still have kites.
We do still have kites. So that's a toy that's lasted a really long time. They played with it in the colonial times and we still have
Yep.
kites.
And there's like marbles and little tops that they would play with. And I think there's like balls stuffed with feathers, like leather balls stuffed with feathers.
Oh, Jacob, I'm gonna jump in here for just a second, and the rest of you too. When you said ball, what did they make a ball out of?
Avery.
Leather.
Do you remember?
Bladder.
The
A pig's
bladder.
liver.
The bladder of a pig, right?
Yeah.
So they did it during the butchering time. They took the bladder and blew it up, and then that was their ball. So could we still play with that today?
Probably, but that'd be
Sure
gross.
could. Sure could. Would we?
Nah.
No, probably not. Right? Probably not. No, but we
We
No,
just
could.
go
I
to the
never
store and
wanted
buy a
to.
little bouncy ball.
That's perfect. Thank you so much, Mrs. Nurse at the Porn. I forgot about that little detail.
Yeah. The fun things they made with the parts of the pig, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That scrunched everyone's nose when we read that.
And what did they do with the tail?
Right, they were given the tail also, but they didn't make a toy with it. What did they do with the tail? Do you remember?
No, I don't.
Did they roast it like a marshmallow and then eat it?
Yeah.
Yep. So they roasted it like a marshmallow and then ate all the meat off the tail. And then who got the bones?
I think it was Jack.
It was Jack. Yeah. He
Jack
got
the dog. I bet he appreciated a bone.
a bone. Yep.
Some of a dog toy to play with.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that's similar to what we do now too, right? Do we get
Yeah,
bones for our dogs?
Well, like not real bones, but like little plastic ones that are a little harder to chew.
We usually just get real edible ones.
I
for
got a
Hunter.
new puppy.
So
Me
Kinsley,
too.
your new puppy might need a bone. So
Might need-
there's a lot of similarities between what they did back then and what we do now. And we can even see, if you're watching on the video, we got a little peek at Avery's dog. So we have, similarities between the Ingalls family in the colonial times and what we're living now, even though it was so long ago. So to kind of finish out our conversation, I would love to hear who your favorite character is in our book. So let's start with Kinsley. Kinsley, who is your favorite character, and tell us why?
My favorite character was Pa because he did all the hunting to get everyone food.
Nice job. Yeah, Pa is a hard worker. He did all the hunting. He was getting everybody food. Jacob, who is your favorite character?
It was Pa or it was Jack.
Tell us why.
I like Jack because he's a dog and dogs are awesome. And I like Pa because he goes hunting and does most of the work.
Great job. Avery, do you have a favorite character?
Jack, because I love dogs and
yeah, dogs are awesome. I got a new puppy, so
there's new
And I
puppies
need to
everywhere.
yeah, it's a perfect time to adopt one too. You're always
Avery,
home.
tell us more why you like Jack.
Mine is I like this
because I really like dogs and they're really protective of people.
Yeah.
That's a good reason. That's great. Mrs. Norsethicorn, do you have a favorite character?
Oh goodness, a favorite character. I like Laura.
Laura.
I like Laura. She's the one that, the little girl telling the story. I like her. She gives us all of the insights, and it gives us a nice look through her eyes as a child, what it was like.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's nice. It's easy for us to kind of relate to and kind of go, oh, okay, I see what she's saying, because it's a child telling the story. So
Yeah.
she's my favorite.
I think my favorite character is actually Ma, because she is a hard worker, but in a different way. It's more subtle. So we hear a lot about how Pa is hunting and he's growing and he's gathering. And we hear the story from Laura's eyes. But when they were talking about butchering day, it kind of stuck out to me because they said that Pa brought the pig, but then it was days of work for Ma after he left again. That she had a lot that she had to do, and then she brought all the girls in and they were doing all the work together to save the meat and make the jerky and fry the tail and make the ball. And so she kind of seems like a behind the scenes organizer.
Probably my mom, which my mom and dad both teach at Genesee Valley, and she'd probably like Ma because she has to have everything pretty. And she's a hard worker.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Well, I want to thank all of you for joining us today to talk about Chapter 1 of Little House in the Big Woods. Would you want to come back and talk about another chapter on a different day?
Yep, sure.
Yeah, I would love to.
Perfect.
Yeah.